Hi, this is Brian with The Balanced Dog, and today I'm going to give you a brief overview on drive theory. So, the first thing to remember is that these drives are instinctual drives for survival. So, that's always critical to remember when we're out working with these dogs that, we have to look at that as a survival mechanism. And so, without getting too far into the weeds on this, we never really want to suppress drives. There's a time and a place for suppressing that. And what I mean by that, if you're doing retrieving work with a dog and you're having him hold his position while you go hide a retrieving bumper, you're suppressing a prey drive. But it's a good suppression because you're building up the intensity and a desire for the dog to go and get that bumper when you release him. So that's a form of good suppression. But so anyways, I'm going to go over all three of these drives, and remember that every dog has these three drives. They're wired with them, but every dog's drive levels are different, right? So Pac Drive. When I'm looking at Pac Drive from between me and a dog, right? What I'm looking at is what's that dog's connectiveness? How quickly does he connect with me? How strong is that connection? How much work does it take to get that connection out of the dog? You hear the term that my dog wants to please. That dog probably is high in Pac Drive. The high Pac driven dogs are always just kind of looking to you for guidance. Low Pac driven dogs are typically in their own little world. So they become a more challenging dog, right? So that's in dog on dog. Pac Drive would be something like grooming is part of Pac Drive. Procreation is part of Pac Drive. Play is a mixture of drives, so Pac Drive's included in there. Defense drives included in play. Prey drives included in play, but it's always fluctuating in and out. So prey drive, that is triggered by sight, scent, sound, and movement, right? So hunting is prey drive, tracking is prey drive. They hear a squirrel and cock their ears. They hear that. That's prey drive. Loading is what we would say. That's the prey drive loading. And then there's defense drive, which is the more challenging of the drives. So I always try to explain that as the level of confidence in the dog. So like my husky Juno is very confident, so he'd be a high defense dog. Next would be a dog that's more kind of middle of the road in its level of confidence. That would be a medium defense dog. And then the insecure dogs, the more sensitive ones, like my other dog Hazel, she's very low in defense. Now, within that drive, you have three behaviors, which are flight, fight, and freeze. And that's something to go into in more detail as well. A dog that's in flight that gets pushed into fight and things like that. So I'm just kind of giving a broad sort of synopsis of the drives. But as far as in workshops or when I'm working with mentor students, we get more involved in talking about how, to elicit a particular drive. And like a good example that I've done in the past, and I've had demonstrations on Instagram and YouTube, where let's say I have a fearful dog that is low in defense, strong flight behavior, but has really strong prey drive and really strong pack drive, right? So if the dog is afraid to go over like a grate, let's say for instance, and I have him on a leash and he's trying to circumvent it by going left and right, and I'm not forcing him, I'm not restraining him, I'm just blocking him from going left and right. And if I show him a high value treat and I move my hand to the other side of the grate, I can drive enough adrenaline, I can drive the prey drive up pretty high for him to finally ignore the fact that the grate's there, and he'll push over it in order to get the food. That, some people would say you're luring him into that, and that could be a part of it, but what you're doing is you're eliciting the prey drive. You're showing the dog the food, and his prey drive is elevating. It's kind of like trying to get somebody to do something, and you have to pump them up, and they finally push through it, and they do it, and they get to the other side, and they go, oh man, I'm still alive, and it wasn't that bad, right? So there's certain times where you want to elicit a drive, or you want to turn a drive off, or you want to switch the dog out of a drive. So long line work is really kind of what you're doing in that exercise. And long line work is you're switching a dog typically out of prey drive back into pack drive. They're going out and tracking. You're switching them out of the tracking to follow you or come to you. That would be coming back in the pack drive, right? So that's just a kind of a real quick, brief synopsis. But like I said, in the workshops that I do and in the mentoring, we get deeper into it so we can actually look at a dog as somebody's working with it and say, okay, now the dog's in defense drive. Now you switched it back in the pack drive. And so that's basically what you're doing a lot when you're working with dogs, is you're switching them in and out of drive, right? Which drive do you want the dog to be in? If a dog's being reactive, that is part of a defense mechanism. That's part of the defense drive, but also that loaded and prey drive. You see what I mean? And so in order to get the reactive dog to stop being reactive, I want to recall them back to me into Pac Drive. All right, so there's a little quick, tutorial 101 on drives. And if you want to know more, you can check out the website for workshop dates and mentoring, and follow me on Instagram. And hopefully we'll see you at a workshop or in a mentor program. If not, I'll see you on social media. Thanks for watching. Hey, Juno.